What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Want to apologize in advance because I got a lot of great questions this week for Monday Mail Day, but on fight night on Saturday, I must have ate something crazy because my stomach is fucked up. So I feel like trash, but the show must go on, so let's get it. And again, I apologize for not answering as many questions as I normally do. I'll be back on track next week. First question comes from George Carpozes. Ego, based on last night's fight, Luis Ortiz has become the most dangerous man in the heavyweight division. He wrecked Jennings while having the flu. You agree? Yeah, I definitely think he's asserted himself as one of the top dogs and like one of the scariest guys at heavyweight. You got guys like Povetkin. You got Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury just got a belt. But he showed a lot of poise in there, which makes him dangerous because the power is one thing, but how calm he was. And he took a guy who never been officially knocked down as a pro in Bryant Jennings, and he hurt him bad in the first round, the final round. I mean, he was hurt pretty bad, and Jennings looks to be in shape. He looks to have that willpower and that drive, and Ortiz was just a sniper out there. So, yeah, he's definitely, I think he'll be one of the fighters, because he's at the point where, like, even Deontay Wilder, he's been on PBC, he's been on Showtime and stuff. But King Kong, I think, will be, he's the type of guy you're not going to want to fight unless you have to fight him, because he's very high risk, low reward, if you will. So I think a lot of people aren't going to be rushing in line to call him out or get a fight with him just because what he is. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people hadn't really seen him, don't know him. Plus, what he possesses as a fighter, like skill-wise, power, size. I don't know. He's a handful. I really like what I've seen from him, though. And I got to see some different sides to his arsenal. Next question is from Ali Dago 619. Do you think Pacquiao versus Broner would do good pay-per-view numbers if it happens? Yes, of course. I definitely think Broner versus Pacquiao would do sensational numbers. You got Pacquiao, who's been on, all of his last fights have been on pay-per-view. He's a legend in the game. And you got Broner, who's kind of the motor mouth. People either love him or hate him. So without a doubt, it would do good numbers. Plus, people always like that, even though there's been a little bit of rifts with TMT and Adrien Broner, people always tune in to see what will happen when Maidana beat Broner and then Lil Bro lost to Maidana and then Big Bro fought Maidana. People are going to tune in for that type of storyline because they link Floyd and Broner together still anyway. So I think it would definitely do good numbers. With that being said, I don't think the fight will happen next. That's just my personal opinion. But I'd rather see it. I'd definitely rather see it over a Timothy Bradley 3 rematch. Again, I'm going to keep saying this until my face turns blue. I'm not big on rematches unless they need to happen. Even if you look at Rocky Martinez versus Orlando Salido, if they have a third fight, that makes a little bit more sense because the first fights were like tooth and nail. They were back and forth. And I thought that Salido beat him in the last fight and they gave it to Rocky Martinez. You know what I'm saying? So those types of rematches make sense. But Pacquiao versus Bradley 3 doesn't really make sense. So I'd much rather see Pacquiao versus Broner, Khan, Crawford, Maidana, anybody else. Next question is from Araz A. Can you make a comparison between UFC versus boxing? Bad and the good thing about each sport. Boxing is my first love, so that's the good for me. It's just boxing. I've been watching it so long. It's been around longer. Boxing to me is it's a different level of discipline. You know what I mean? You have to be really, really focused. And this is, a lot of people, when they hear statements, they get all mad and start thinking you're bashing. I don't have anything against either sport, but to me, boxing is my true love. I would say the bad in boxing is the judging. Sometimes you get piss poor judging and horrible scorecards and stuff like that, and it makes people not want to see it. Plus, boxing has a lot more politics because it's not just one organization that's really at the forefront. You know what I mean? So you got PBC, you got Top Rank, Golden Boy, K2 Promotions. You have so many different entities and organizations to the point where there's no one rule that everybody follows by. So that being said, you don't get all the fights that you want to see because cross-promotion issues and the political landscape of boxing. So that, I would say, that's one of the bad things. One of the bad things about UFC is like like if you look at these fighters' records, a lot of them have a ton of losses and stuff. So it's hard to with UFC because there's so many different, I don't know how to say, so many different styles that you would be faced with. It's hard to stay undefeated, and with that comes a lot of praise very soon. Like Ronda Rousey, she had, what did she have, like 7, 8 fights or whatever, and they were saying she's the Terminator. They were saying she's unstoppable, she's unbeatable, she's the best woman, female fighter ever, and stuff like that. And then she got socked up by Holly Holm. So I think that's one of the things with UFC. It's very easy to, when someone has 5 wins in a row, it's easy to just go overboard with it and be like, oh, Ronda Rousey is the future of martial arts. She's a good fighter, but people give you that credit a little bit prematurely. But the good thing with UFC is Dana White has all the control, so he does push for the matches to happen when they need to happen, and you don't get as many politics. Conor McGregor fought Jose Aldo. That was the one guy that people said would beat him, and they fought him. Even when Jose Aldo pulled out the first fight, he replaced it with Chad Mendes, who was a respectable wrestler. So I think that's one of the great things about UFC is they push for the meaningful fights versus you look at boxing, Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, will they fight? It keeps getting postponed. Mayweather, Pacquiao, other fights like Gamboa and Mikey Garcia never happened. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. So there's good and bad with both sports, definitely. I think, like I said, the UFC gets a level of, like the fighters get a level of praise prematurely based on how hard it is to compete or whatever the situation is. People's like, oh yeah, this guy is a god because they have 6 wins. You know what I mean? But it's hard to stay undefeated. Look at Chris Weidman. He just lost his last fight. And they were saying he was the truth. I mean, he's a good fighter, but anything could happen because there's so many different ways you could beat somebody. That's why I like boxing, because it's more of a science, and you can't use your feet. You'll be disqualified. You know what I mean? You have to use your brain and your 2 fists, and that's really it. So coming up with something like that it takes it something else, takes something special to me. Like you notice a lot of boxers, they've been boxing since they were kids. I know people that get it in the UFC and they've been pretty successful and they've only been training 1.5 years, 2 years, something like that, versus Danny Garcia's and stuff been training since they were 8 or 9. Same thing with Mayweather. You know what I mean? So it's just different disciplines, but that's my take on it. Next question is from Mex Rider 1. What was your fight of the year, and who was your fighters of the year? Great work as always, bro. Ooh, fighters of the year, I would definitely have to put Floyd Mayweather up there, just because he beat Pacquiao. That was the fight that people said he would lose to. And see, this is the thing. When it comes to Mayweather, people are so eager to switch their story. Like I always say, check for consistency. People said Mayweather, he wants to fight flat-footed, quote-unquote, Latinos. He doesn't want to fight someone who can match his foot speed, his hand speed. He doesn't want to fight someone who's a southpaw, someone who's powerful and quick and blah, blah, blah. The same level of experience of him. That's what they said before. And he fought Pacquiao and reduced him to landing 71 punches. So you got to give him credit for that. ESPN, I'm not ESPN, you know what I mean? They gave Ronda Rousey the fight of the year, and 2 fights later she got slept. I'm going to give credit where credit's due, and I think Floyd Mayweather has to be one of the fighters of the year based on the fact that he beat the guy that everybody had picked to beat him. Showtime did a poll, and they asked the fans who's going to win, Mayweather, Pacquiao, and it was startling. I think it was like 71% of the people said that Pacquiao was going to win. So obviously there was a lot of people, whether they were betting with their hearts or emotion or whatever, there's a lot of people that took the time out of their day to pick Pacquiao and thought he was going to win. So you got to give him credit for beating Pacquiao. And then later on he beat Berto. And it's not the fact that he beat Berto, because no one's really said Berto was at the top, you know what I mean, the top 3 spots at welterweight. But it's how he beat Berto. He was playing around in there. He was dancing. He was sticking his tongue out at Berto's girlfriend. So to me, that shows me what level he's on. That he could take a former 2-time world champion and just make a mockery of him, you know what I mean, by dancing and stuff like that. I don't care who it is. If it's Guerrero, look at the Guerrero-Berto fight. Guerrero had him hurt bad early, but Berto came back on in the second half. You know what I mean? He was actually lumping up Guerrero's eye. Josecito Lopez was beating Berto the first 5 rounds or whatever, and then Berto stopped him. So point being is, no one that I've seen has been able to go in there and then make Berto look like easy work to the point where it was just super one-sided. Berto had one arm versus Jesus Soto Caras, and he did all right for himself before getting stopped in the 12th round. Victor Ortiz had a Fight of the Year war with him. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that Mayweather was able to go in there and really just toy with him shows me that there's levels to this. Other fighters of the year, I would say Terrence Crawford, Gennady Golovkin. They're both undefeated. You know what I mean? They keep doing what they need to do. You could also add Canelo to that list. He spun James Kirkland around in a sellout fight, sellout crowd. And then also he beat Cotto, Hall of Famer. If we're talking about UFC, I would definitely say Holly Holm and Conor McGregor. And we already know why. And then your first part of your question, what was my fight of the year? That has to be Francisco Vargas versus, I forgot how to pronounce his name, the Japanese guy. It was on the Cotto Canelo undercard. It was like the co-main event. I mean, that was just an explosive fight of the year. And it was back and forth. It was a seesaw type of fight. You didn't know what was going to happen next. So that has to be my fight of the year. Next question is from Keith Mathis, One Fresh to Death. Ego, a lot of people are counting Robert Guerrero out due to his last fight, but I think he will give Garcia a tough fight. What are your thoughts? I mean, I agree. Bottom line is, like Roger Mayweather says, most motherfuckers don't know shit about boxing. That's what it boils down to. People have this grudge against PBC. People have a grudge against Danny Garcia. If it's not the main fight they wanted to see, it's a cherry pick, it's a bum fight, all this dumb stuff. But what they don't do is strategically and intelligently break down these fights. Now, when I look at Guerrero Garcia, I watched both guys' careers, and I don't see this being an easy fight for either person. Guerrero is a southpaw. Guerrero has more experience at welterweight. He fought Mayweather at welterweight, Keith Thurman at welterweight, Kamagai, his last fight, or Berto fight. Who did he fight? Oh, yeah, Aaron Martinez. You know what I'm saying? Danny Garcia has one fight at welterweight, and it was against Paulie Malignaggi, who most people considered should stick to commentating because they figured he, you know what I mean, he wasn't going to win any more world titles. He wasn't at that level anymore. So that's, I mean, that in itself goes to show you we have a guy who's a veteran, not just at the welterweight division, but he's been fighting for a long time. Plus, he's a southpaw. Plus, he has more experience at welterweight, like I just said. So I don't know. I don't see that. And then this is the other thing is people bash Danny Garcia saying he's slow and no look punch and all this stuff, but they expect him to shut out Guerrero when other people didn't shut him out. Guerrero, at the end of the day, he has heart. Keith Thurman hurt him bad. It didn't look like he was going to be able to get back up after he got knocked down. Guerrero got back up and had his best round probably after that. Same thing with the Aaron Martinez. It looked like he was done. It looked like he was out on his feet when he got dropped by Aaron Martinez. And he got right back up, went back to boxing, and he started to pull some rounds out. So Guerrero's a live dog. He's given his body more time to... I told people when... I didn't expect Aaron Martinez to drop him all that. But I told people, I was like, man, I'm surprised how quick Guerrero came back. Because he fought Keith Thurman, I think it was in March. And then he was already back like 2 months later fighting Aaron Martinez. And that wasn't good because he took a lot of punishment in the Keith Thurman fight. But now his body's been able to recuperate from May or whatever all the way to January. So he'll probably look a little bit better. I'm not saying Danny Garcia. And like I said, if Danny Garcia stops him, then that is something impressive because no one else has been able to stop Guerrero. So I think it's a good fight. I definitely lean towards Garcia, but I don't think it's this one-sided massacre or whatever cherry pick fight that other people are talking about. I think Guerrero has some skills in there. The biggest thing for Guerrero is stop that toe-to-toe baby nuts, like Mexican style, we're warriors, like blood in, blood out type dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? Fight based on what's going to get you the victory. Basically stop the machismo stuff. Robert Guerrero in the lighter divisions was more of a technical boxer. You know what I mean? And then he's just been, it's like he moved up with the bigger harder hitting guys, and now he wants to prove that he has a set. You don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Prove that you're the champion and beat these guys. You know what I'm saying? So I think he needs to cut that out, get back to the boxing that he knows how to do, and then he'll be fine. But it's a good fight. It's not a bad fight. And like I said, people always complain about these fights, and then I do my post-fight videos, and they're all in the comment section immediately. So they obviously watched them. So why'd you complain about it if you were going to watch it anyway? So it's not a cherry pick in my eyes. Next question is from Eric Shipman. What are some big fights that you want to see in 2016? Khan versus Brook, Crawford versus Postal are two of my picks. Those are excellent picks. Amir Khan, Kell Brook, self-explanatory. Big domestic fight. It has interest in the U.S. I would love to see it. See if Khan's chin can hold up. See if Brook can deal with someone with the speed and experience of Khan. And I don't know. I think Khan might be a little bit taller than Brook. Crawford Postal's good. Crawford versus Broner, even though I don't think that would happen because of top rank Al Heyman beef. Sergey Kovalev versus Andre Ward. I'd love to see that. Gennady Golovkin versus somebody of note. You know what I mean? Somebody who's been looking good. Maybe a Danny Jacobs, Canelo. These are all great fights. So those are the ones that just really stick out at the top of my head of big fights that I want to see. Vasyl Lomachenko, Rigondeaux is another one. I mean, there's a ton. There's a ton. A great heavyweight fight. Luis King Kong Ortiz, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Mix any of those guys up. Anthony Joshua. Mix any of those up anyway. Round robin, and I would love it. Next question is from 4 Life 1 Deep 1. Why is the UFC so obsessed with Floyd Mayweather? First it was Ronda Rousey, now the media comparing Conor McGregor to Floyd Mayweather. The media and the fans seem to embrace Conor's arrogant, trash-talking persona, and that they always hated Floyd for. TMZ and others reported that Conor brought a Rolls Royce, so they also seem to embrace the flashy lifestyle as well. Nothing against Conor, he's a talented fighter, but you can't help to point out the blatant double standard and the agenda the media is pushing, if you know what I mean. I've said this for the longest on my channel. It's a given. People can say whatever they want. People act like they are the spokesperson for domestic violence, for example. Oh, Floyd, we hate him because he's a wife beater. But they're not out there doing anything that helps women in need who have been in abusive relationships with spouses, boyfriends, and stuff. So to me, that's a fake agenda because you're trying to act like this is your platform and you're against domestic violence, but you're not doing no outreach, or you're not doing anything other than attacking certain people for it. In fact, they did a thing on Real Sports, and the UFC, out of all sports, has the highest domestic violence percentage of offenders or whatever in all of sports, and it's by a large margin. So if that was the case, there's other people in the UFC, like Ronda Rousey's current boyfriend, Travis. You don't hear that many people talking about him as being it because it's the media, like you said, the agenda. Floyd Mayweather, he's at the top, highest paid athlete, so they're looking for ways to bring him down. They can't do it in the ring. You know what I mean? No one's been able to beat him thus far, so they have to do it with things outside. Oh, he said this in an interview. Oh, he's a alleged wife beater, stuff like that. So, I mean, it goes, I guess it comes with the territory when you're at the top. Conor McGregor, I've already made the comparison a long time ago on my channel. He's using the Mayweather blueprint. Talking some trash, backing it up, flashy lifestyle. People love him, hate him. I mean, that's pretty much the same blueprint Mayweather used. And using Mayweather's name on top of that. That's the only difference. When Mayweather was coming up, he just did all this stuff. He wasn't using nobody's name like that. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't like, oh, yeah, Conor McGregor, I'll go to the UFC and beat his ass. He wasn't doing that. He didn't even really use Pacquiao's name until the media and everybody in Pacquiao and Team Pacquiao started using his name too. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of like a mutual thing. But with Conor McGregor, it's not a mutual thing. I never even hear Floyd Mayweather talk about Conor McGregor, but I hear Conor McGregor constantly call out Floyd Mayweather. So it's just, the double standards have always been there in fighting sports, and this is no different. I mean, you look at it. People hate Floyd Mayweather and want him to lose based on whatever. Oh, he's trash talking and he's arrogant. But Bret the Hitman Hart in wrestling A lot of people loved him. Okay, you can say wrestling's fake, but people still like the persona that Bret Hart had. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. He had the cool glasses and the pink jumpsuit, and people didn't have a problem with that. Ric Flair, woo! You know what I mean? He was talking the same type of stuff that Floyd Mayweather did. But, you know what I'm saying? You could say, oh, it's wrestling, it's a character. That's what Floyd is. You think Floyd is just nonstop 24/7 acts one way, you know what I'm saying? Burning money, you know what I mean? Like, no, it's you're marketing yourself. You got to sell the fight. Muhammad Ali even did that. He did stuff to sell the fights. I don't think he was just that charismatic no matter what 24/7, you know what I'm saying? So it's a blatant double standard, and it's just really what the media wants to push. They're going to show you what they want you to see. So we already know what it is. Very last question is Zokai 1983. Hi, Ego. Hope you picked this question. Last few you ignored. Laugh out loud. I don't know why, y'all. I get a lot of questions like a lot of comments like, oh, you ignore my question. I don't try to ignore people's question unless it's on some trolling dumb shit. But I just get a lot of questions. I can't pick them all. And it also depends on when you do it. So for the future, if the sooner the better, because I don't know when I'm doing the video. But if I get a lot of questions and a lot of good questions, I'm just picking from that. So if you didn't leave your question until like the next day, then you might get skipped because I've already done the video. But your question is, do you feel some of the judges should be held accountable for decisions they make? I'm talking about Walter, Sosa. I would love to hear their expert opinion on how the fuck Sosa won some of those rounds. Also, before we just to racism and shit, it happened to so many boxers that I don't even feel like it's a question of color of skin. It happened to Pacquiao versus Bradley. It happened to the Cuban guy versus Pascal. In some ways, it happens to Lomachenko, and he's a top-ranked future star, great white hope and shit. What's your take on it? I feel like after year, we get between 5 and 10 of these. Yeah, I mean, there definitely should be some level of recourse or some level of criteria in which this judging. I understand that different people have different tastes, but judging in boxing is based on a certain criteria that are set forth. So when somebody goes AWOL and does their own thing and doesn't judge accordingly, yeah, there needs to be some accountability. I mean, I even tweeted this about Walter Sosa. I basically called it a shutout. And there's no way someone could have a fight a shutout and then other people are saying that fighter that was getting shut out won, or it was a draw. You know what I mean? It just sounds ridiculous. Like, I don't understand what Sosa, I don't even know if Sosa's own mama would say he won the fight. You know what I mean? But you have dumbass judges, so I don't know what that was about. I don't know why they would even suggest that Sosa won that particular fight. And the truth is, this has been happening in boxing so long, I don't think they truly want to do anything about it, because I have not seen any kind of like affirmative action or anything to like condemn the people that are doing this. And it just keeps happening and keeps happening. You'll hear about Levi Martinez will do 117 and 111 in the Canelo Lara fight, and then he's back judging another major fight. So I don't know. I just really think they don't want to change it. They're okay with it because these guys keep getting gigs. Like, it's just bottom line. If let's say I'm a plumber and I go into someone's house and do some plumbing work and I create a leak and their whole house floods, and then they give me other big jobs, like, what does that tell you about my plumbing company? And I keep flooding people's houses and keep messing up and not putting pieces back so their toilet doesn't work again. You know what I'm saying? If I keep fucking up and they keep giving me jobs, what does that tell you? So I don't know. I have a million things that they could do to fix it, but I don't think they truly want to fix it, the problems in boxing, because they just accept it and move on. Like, on to the next fight. But this is people's livelihoods. This is people's careers. So I wish they would do something about it. That basically wraps up Monday Mail Day. I will try to answer some more questions next week when I'm feeling a little bit better. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.